Is it live?
Not yet. Good evening. Welcome, everybody, once again to the Jew 3 podcast. I am one of the hosts, co-host, Rick Clark, along here with our other host, Jason Howard. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Long time no see. Been a while since we've been able to do one of these podcasts, and a few things going on in the world, and we've been busy doing this and that, and we finally got a chance once again to do one of our shows. And Brother Jason messaged me and was wanting to get together if we could, and he had something he wanted to talk about. So here we are, and so I'm just going to turn it over to Jason. So what's on your mind?
We want to talk about, or I do. Rick didn't want to talk about it. The question comes up is, well, really it's just secondary education for Baptist preachers. And it's going to involve not really too detailed, but some of the things that our college, I call it my college. I went to college there. Rick went to college there, and a lot of other people we know. So I appreciate the college. Had a good time while I was there.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun while we were there.
Had a great time. I'm glad we didn't have too much Facebook back then. We'd be in trouble today.
Yeah, I was just thinking, who were some of the preachers that pull that picture up?
All right, let's see.
And who were some of the preachers? I was going to try to tag them in this if it'll let me in the comments. Name some of them off, and let's see if it'll let me tag them.
Let's see. We've got Brother Matt Pittman.
Let me see. He probably ain't on there. He looks like the mafia boss of that picture.
Yeah.
He's let's see, if you look at that from the right, he's the fourth one to your left. Who else is in there?
Let's see.
You got
Chase,
Tim.
He don't have
Facebook. He lives under a rock.
Chase Elkins.
That's Brother Coy's son-in-law, right?
We've got, let's see, Shad Pittman.
That's Matt's brother.
We've got myself. We've got Josh Daniels.
Oh yeah, Brother Josh.
Jared Stockman in that picture. We got Zach Dant, John Kelly, Jerry Bolton.
He's from McLean, isn't he?
I believe so. Is that Caleb there?
That is
Is that Caleb
the one and
Martin?
only Caleb Martin.
Got Adam Parker at the very far end.
I don't remember the other brother there's name. I can't remember his name.
Next to Adam?
Yeah.
I had some classes with him, but I can't remember his name either.
Paul?
Pat.
Pat.
That's David Parker. He passed away a few years ago. John Kelly. I can't remember that guy's name.
All the way to the left?
Yeah.
How many of those that you know of that are still preaching?
Are still preaching? Let's see. One.
Caleb. John Kelly.
2, 3.
John Kelly's Presbyterian now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Presbyterian now. So
that's the strange because he started out
as a strong
independent
Baptist.
And he's from up north.
Maine. And then he went Presbyterian. So I mean, don't know what happened there, but yeah.
Where's Zach at?
Zach.
He's at Lewsteller.
He was at Goforth. He's not there anymore, so I'm not sure where he's at. Josh Daniels, of course, pastors Refuge Baptist Mission Church in Kiel. Jared Stockman, he is a highway patrolman.
Really?
Now. Of course, so is Chase Elkins.
He's a highway patrolman?
Chase is a highway patrolman.
But he
pastors a church too. Chase is he's like high rank. And the
I get a ticket. I need to call him, don't I?
No, I tried to do that. He just laughed.
He wasn't having it.
No, Shad, I believe he's still preaching. I'm not sure where he's at
look
though.
On Facebook, it ain't showing the picture.
Huh?
They may not be seeing anything what we're talking
about.
It
might not be. Let's see, maybe let me see if I can. No, that's what we're. Huh. Well, we're just sitting here making fools of ourselves on this. So maybe there's
how many preachers are there? If you can't see this, there are, count those out.
Let's see. That's just count everybody there.
Count everybody
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 preachers there.
So what year was that?
If that's our graduation,
12?
no, it wasn't 12. So that was our graduation. It had to have been 2009. If that was our graduation.
No, it couldn't have been 9.
It was prior to that, maybe 2000.
No, it had been like 2012.
No, because I was married. I
Because
got
Cade,
married.
Cade was still, he finished his cancer treatment in 2012. And that's when I graduated. Unless you graduated before me.
I did. I think I graduated.
It wouldn't have been 3 years.
Yeah, because I got my.
Or look at your diploma.
Where's it? Let's see when I graduate. 2000. I can't read that from here. I'm blind.
Give the brother a minute. He got to go over and look. He don't even know when he graduated. He barely did graduate, to be honest with you. If I wouldn't have wrote half his papers, he never would have graduated.
2009 is when I graduated.
That was your associate's or bachelor's?
That's my bachelor's.
Okay, well, I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm just off base. I can't imagine it was 3 years later, to be honest. Anyway, just say somewhere around, he graduated 2009. I had to been real close in that time frame. But the point is, there was 20, just say 20, right, 19, 20 preachers that went through that. Now, some would have graduated at different times, depending on when they come in the program. Mm-hmm. But when we were going there, it was two day a week.
2 days a week, yeah. So
we'd go Monday and Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And all your classes were in that 2 days. I remember semesters I had 18 hours of classes in 2 days. So we'd have classes all day Monday.
And then a night class.
A night class and all day Tuesday. And then a night class. Mm-hmm. And then we'd go home. We'd stay in the dorm, come up Monday morning, have classes, stay in the, or either come Sunday night, stay in the dorm.
I would usually come Sunday night.
And that's where you met Anna, right?
No, I met Anna at church.
Okay, but y'all were married at the point when you was going to college.
We got married right before I graduated. We got married in December of 2008, and I graduated in May of 2009.
Okay.
And then she went on and she got 2 associate degrees from there. She got an associate's in business and associate in general education. Mm. And then she went on to William Carey and got her bachelor's in teaching.
So out of that 20 that was in that time frame, so who was some of the teachers? So we had Brother Joey.
Brother Joey Harris, Aaron Parker.
Dr. Aaron Parker. The older brother, he's passed away now, that taught the Bible geography in those classes.
Oh, Dr. Sable.
Dr. Sable.
We had,
they taught the bulk of the classes, Bible classes, didn't they?
And I'm trying to think of, I had another, there was another older preacher that taught there, and he had also served many years before as a president of the college. I cannot think of his name now for nothing to save my life.
But then you had Miss Rosemary taught English.
Rosemary taught English.
Brother Pageant that taught music appreciation. Mm-hmm. Who else do we have? Well, I forget who our math teachers were and our sciences. I forget those.
Yeah, I had my science teacher's name was Pope, Mr. Pope.
Yeah, that's right.
And then after him, I know there was, I think her name was Scoggins.
I remember that.
Let's see. Ronnie Kitchens, he was recruiter, and he taught computer. And
is Ronnie? He's not there anymore, is he? He's been gone a while.
He's been gone for a while.
So at that time, there was a 2-day schedule. It was really geared toward ministerial students. Mm-hmm. Was no sports programs. 2-day schedule. We got our classes. I don't remember what the total enrollment was though there during that time, because you could get an associate's, but the only 4-year degree they offered at that time was Bible. Mm-hmm. I think now they offer 2 or 3 different 4-year degrees.
Yeah, I know
business.
I know right after I left, they expanded it to business. And
there's a couple more they add now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they are now though.
So and then we'd come up Monday. We'd stay in those dorms where we had all kinds of fun. Did you? I was in a room either by myself or with
You
Tim.
you had a private room.
I had a private
or semi-private.
and me
Y'all
and
shared a bathroom.
me and Tim shared. So did you stay in the dorms any?
I stayed. Yeah, y'all were upstairs. I stayed downstairs with the common folk. And,
the kings.
Yeah.
What it was the peasants stayed
Yeah.
downstairs. The kings.
Yeah.
Stayed in the upper level.
The upper level.
And on the other end of the upper level was the old fogies that always were saying "quiet down." That was
Dana Williams.
Dana Williams,
Wayne
McMahon, Brother Wayne, Brother Dana. Those were the two that was kind of always.
They were like, "Can y'all keep it down? We're trying to sleep."
Yeah. And then downstairs you had the dorm, but you also had that little general
like living area
or something.
But yeah, I stayed downstairs, and it was me and Caleb, Matt,
Chad,
Chase. Me and Chase shared a room, and then some other people here and there. But for the most part, for my whole time there, it was those that we named off.
If I said this, you would know I'm talking about. There was one student, and I won't call his name.
Okay, then I won't either if I know who you're.
You know who he is?
Do I?
Who? I'm not sure how many papers of his own he wrote. It ain't you.
It ain't me. It's.
Well, I'll tell you after, and you'll remember.
Yeah, I thought
You'll remember.
I mean, look, I'm thinking of at least two people.
And they part from the same town.
Yeah. Same church.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So my thing is, why aren't more ministerial students going to Southeastern? Now, I talked to a guy today, and I'm not gonna call his name, but I was just trying to get a fit because I've kind of been on the outside of Southeastern for a while now. I read some articles in the paper sometimes, but it really seems like this. And I'm not saying this as a positive thing or a negative thing, just as a matter of fact thing. It seems like the emphasis is shift from ministerial to just general Christian education.
I would agree with that.
And
I would probably even take it, and I'm not, like you said, I'm not trying to talk bad or negatively or what, but from not just Christian education, but there seems to be a bigger emphasis on the sports aspect.
I think I'm not against the sports.
No,
but I wonder if sports was really an effort to
just to get
students in.
I think so. Like I said, I think that was a positive thing. I mean, they definitely increased enrollment when they did that.
It ain't like it was. Whatever that means, if that means something good to you or bad to you,
No,
I'm just saying, as a matter of fact, it's not the same the way that it was. Now that may mean to you. That may mean to somebody, they may take that as a good thing. Some may take it as a bad thing, but
right.
it's just a statement of fact.
Yeah, it is different. And but you had two different visions of what the college should be. So I mean,
I wonder if it's got. Here's my thing. I think in some people's minds, it seems like it's an either-or proposition.
No, explain what you mean by that.
Well, it's either got to be ministerial or it's either got to be more general. To provide an education from a Christian foundation for not necessarily ministerial, but for whatever degree you're going to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wonder why can't it be both?
Uh-huh.
Why can't you have an emphasis on ministerial and do? So here's the question that comes up. We've talked a lot about that, but why is secondary education? Does a Bible college even have any relevance today?
Mm-hmm.
So I got a little article here I want to read you something from. I looked up several of these. This is the ratio of liberal to conservative professors has profoundly changed. So I looked at several different articles and tried to find out what the ratio is in higher education, across the board.
Mm-hmm.
If your child leaves high school, and they were brought up in a Christian home, a church life. Do you remember years ago, there's a book come out. I forget the guy's name. The title of the book was Already Gone. Do you remember that book?
It sounds familiar.
He was writing about the statistics that show that kids that are raised in church and the percentage of the kids that once they leave high school and go to college, that 6 to 7 out of every 10 kids that go on to higher education leave the church and don't come back to it. So we're not talking about unchurched kids. We're talking about kids that are raised in a church setting, in a quote unquote Christian home. And when they leave high school, the title of the book was Already Gone, and he gives the numbers. Okay. Who wrote that book? That was
I thought that's who it was. It's Ken Ham and Britt Beamer.
Okay.
Wrote that book.
So I forget, it's dated. The book's a little bit dated. I'm not sure what the numbers would be now, but at that time, they said the numbers were like 6 or 7 of every 10, which is alarming. You think that's over half the youth. Mm-hmm. And if you think, and you talk to pastors, how many in your ministry have you seen that fit into that? They're in church when they're little at Sunday school. You know, their parents bring the church into high school, but when they go off to college, they're done with it.
Yeah.
And so, what's the reasons for that?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
what do you think?
I know the one thing that that book you're talking about, Already Gone, the emphasis in that is how the evolution, and they get into these secular colleges, and they're not able to refute certain claims of atheists, and so that just kind of destroys their faith and everything.
Yeah, that whole book. Of course, Ken Ham's the big creation museum guy, which is a great ministry, and he goes on talking about what you said. Like, so when you go in and you destroy the foundation of the Bible, everything else goes with it. But the point is not just that. There's a reason behind that. So when you go into the higher education, it's all of this. But the article was saying that these articles are showing that. So like, let me find where I just read that. The majority, depending on which article you read, the overwhelming majority of the college professors are liberals.
No.
Like way outnumber any conservative in these colleges.
And now let's emphasize this, because they might be, when you keep talking about liberal, he's not saying that Southeastern's professors are liberal.
No, I'm talking about
He's talking about secular colleges.
No, I didn't have Southeastern in my mind. Just talking about higher education in general. Mm-hmm. You could probably take a lot of your, and I don't even know if I could say that, a lot of your Bible colleges out of this, what I'm fixing to say. There may be some of them that even have a lot of liberal. I don't know, but so if you've got for every 10 college professors, you have 7 are liberal, right? And so that's a whole different mindset. Left-leaning liberal professors. So you've got a kid that's going to go through, a 2-year college, right? Just leave. Then you go to at least 2 more years at a university, and depending on what degree you got, it's going to go up from there.
Right.
So they're going to be 4 to 6 years in institutions under. And here's the thing about at least of people that are educated, people that are, you look to with some type of academic authority, and so that goes to undermine everything that's been taught. When they were in church 2 or 3 hours a week. Now they're in institutions for 6, 7, 8 years of their life.
Yeah. And a lot of them are like we said earlier, they're there at the school 24. They live there.
Exactly. So there's a lot of that goes on. 80%, like for one school, 80% of the faculty were registered Democrats. Only 20% registered Republicans. At another University, Brown was 30-1. The researchers could not identify a single Republican on the faculty at Williams, Oberlin, MIT, or Haverford College. I don't know. These are probably liberal universities, but the trend is the same no matter where you go. The ratio of liberal to conservative professors has profoundly changed from 4-1 a few years ago to 17-1 today. So I asked the question, why are Bible colleges, are they relevant or needful? That's the reason they are.
Mm-hmm.
But because if a person don't have a really sound foundation underneath them,
Mm-hmm.
when they go off to these institutions, sitting under these, academia, and that carries with it some authority.
Right.
They've hired. They're supposed to know. They're supposed to be the educated. They're in what they're teaching, whether it's in politics, whether it's in social classes, whether it's in biology. Those things are undermining that. So, that's the reason there's a need. So, I still think there is a need.
Uh-huh.
But I think there's even a greater need, not just in general, but for ministerial. So, there's some things I'd like to know. There's an article I sent Rick that was in, what was that article in, Rick?
Well, it was, you sent it to me. It was in the,
the Thomas Williamson's paper,
Williamson's paper.
Northern Landmark Baptist
or something like that. But it was taken from the Baptist Trumpet.
Which is the Texas paper, right?
Either Texas or Arkansas.
Okay.
I think, no, it was Texas.
Well, the article's in regard, nonetheless, is in regard to Jacksonville College in Texas.
Right.
And that's a Bible college, not the seminary. That's the Bible college in Texas.
Right.
So the writer of this article, what is his name?
David Erickson.
So I had a class under David Erickson.
Did you?
Yeah, and I'll just say this: he was a very likable guy, and all of that. I couldn't, as far as his teaching. Somebody showed me this article, and I said, "Boy, that guy nailed it on the head." Then when they told me who wrote it, I said, "That blew my mind," because it doesn't remind me of the guy that I sat under in an online class.
Uh-huh.
So, sometimes you get the wrong impression of people's point of trying to make. But he's got a doctorate, so now he's the new president of Jacksonville College. Anyway, in the article, he says a few things about the reasons of the financial difficulty that the college is having. And this, Brother Rick, you got to give me some insight on this.
All right.
He said, Jacksonville College is also financially challenged. This is not a new problem. This year will almost certainly be the largest deficit the college has ever run. We anticipate that it will take us at least another year to return to profitability. What is driving our deficit? All right, this is on that first one I sent you.
Okay.
All right, now listen to this. Loss of Southern Baptist of Texas Convention support. The Southern Baptist Texas Convention provided half of the donations that came into Jacksonville College. The abrupt ending of this support has been costly this year, and the SBTC has gone about it in ways that cause maximum financial damage to the college. I would love to tell you this was a mutual parting of the ways as ministry priorities shifted, but actions speak louder than words. Why is a BMA college having to depend 50% of its financial support on the Southern Baptist Convention of Texas? Does that make any sense to you?
It don't.
And anytime you get 50% of your, and let's be transparent, I've got friends that are pastors at Southern Baptist Convention. All right. So sometimes I paint with too wide a brush.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this is indicative of all Southern Baptists. Brother Rick's got some friends who are Southern Baptists who are like-minded, faith and order. But generally speaking,
I've pastored in the Southern Baptist Convention.
I have forgiven you for that.
Thank you.
But I don't. They're doctrinally different, in their ecclesiology especially. I don't even understand that. I don't understand if you take the doctrinal statement. I don't understand how either group. I don't understand how the Southern Baptists of Texas could think it's in their best interest to donate to the Jacksonville College.
Uh-huh.
Because if Jacksonville is truly BMA, they don't hold the same positions. I don't understand how Jacksonville College thought it was, gonna be to their advantage to accept that money. Anytime money is given, there's always strings attached. I don't care who you are. And then dependent on it to the extent that now that money's gone, they're left in a bad place. To me, that seems like a strange relationship.
I don't know too much about the Southern Baptist Convention in Texas or the BMA of Texas for that matter.
Well, I don't either.
But I do know, I have heard that there's a lot of churches over there that are dual affiliated. And they're members of both the BMA and the SBC.
Explain that to me. Explain dual affiliation to a simple-minded.
The only thing I can think of is, because I think for the most part, the only doctrinal difference that I'm aware of among BMA and SBC, if you were to compare the doctrinal statements, and when I say that, I mean, I'm speaking about like the BMA of America's doctrinal statement.
It's different than Mississippi.
It's different than Mississippi's. And so if you just compare those, to me, there's two things that I find different in there. One of them is it does seem to give way in the Baptist Faith and Message, which is the SBC's doctrinal statement. It does seem to have a leeway for female deacons, whereas our national doctrinal statement says that the office of pastor and deacon is reserved for males, men only. Whereas there's some, I can't remember how it's worded in the Baptist Faith and Message. But then, and then the other thing is that when it talks about the church and the doctrinal statements, the BMA, the SBC, the Baptist Faith and Message, they have they're so solid on the church when they get to the last, they throw in one line where it talks about the church is also made up. The church is also considered the bride of Christ, which is made up of all the redeemed of all ages. And so those are like the two main things. And the only thing I can think of is maybe some of these BMA churches that are dual affiliated with them, or are overlooking that just for the support of missions, or maybe the Southern Baptist Convention, Texas, that are affiliated with the BMA, or and it's kind of, and I guess it's kind of one of those, what came first, the chicken or the egg type thing, where they BMA and then joined to the convention, or were they the convention and then associated with the BMA, or maybe they're just willing to overlook those things. Maybe there's some churches that, because you and I both know of pastors in the BMA or in the SBC that deny the universal church.
And the SBC?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And so maybe they're just willing to overlook those things and for the sake of mission work. I don't know. There could be.
Well, I think when you talk about dual affiliation, really what that's indicative of the fact that in a lot of people's mind, and maybe this is where we're at, either they don't realize there's differences, or either those differences don't mean enough to them to be distinctly different, separate in different areas. Mm. So maybe that's it. Maybe in Texas, it's not like it is here in Mississippi as far as our doctrinal statement is still the original BMA of 1950 doctrinal statement, the one that D. Jackson and others come up with. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but I don't understand the benefit of dual affiliation. But nonetheless, Jacksonville College depended on that. But here's the thing about Jacksonville College. He says this: part of redirecting our focus is our capital campaign to restore the heart of Jacksonville College. The fact that we have a gym, practice fields, and dormitories, but no chapel, tells a story of misplaced priorities. The spiritual life of our students and our campus community must be the highest priority. Yeah, I'm talking about Jacksonville College. It's not Southeastern.
When I read that, I thought that was crazy. They don't have a chapel service, or was they saying they don't have?
He says
chapel building, or
he says no chapel. So I would think that he meant they had no chapel services. Mm-hmm. Who would care if you actually had a building, as long as you could have chapel services in a classroom? As far as that goes. Let me read one other thing. He said this, and I'm going to relate some of this to Southeastern, because you see some similarities. Mm-hmm. All right, and to me, you disagree. But he said it may be that Jacksonville College in its current form has outlived its usefulness to our denomination. I'm going to circle back to that. If that is so,
I knew when I saw the denomination, I was like, Jason's going to make a deal out of that.
he said, well, not so much that word, but yeah, there is a lot of, we could talk about that. He said, if that is so, it is time to call a spade a spade. If Jacksonville College is not useful and beneficial for the churches of this denomination, it is time to change or let it die. If being a Christian accredited junior college does not fulfill the educational needs of the BMA, then it's time to consider something radically different. Now, you remember when you and I were going to Southeastern, it was only accredited through the it only had a Bible college accreditation, whatever it was.
No, because let's see, we had
we didn't have
SACS accreditation.
No.
We had something called TRACS accreditation though, which was not national. I don't think national, but regional accreditation. So it was still,
But if you remember, the only college
that would take our credit
was
William Carey
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
They've since got SACS accreditation, haven't they?
Don't give me the line.
I believe they've got.
I want to say they have, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think that was a big debate then.
That
remember?
was, yeah.
But anyway, he says that being a accredited junior college does not fulfill the educational needs of the BMA, it's time to consider something radically different. If being accredited by a regional accreditor is no longer important to us, then perhaps Jacksonville College should be accredited as a Bible college. And that's what, when we were at Southeastern, I remember that's what it had.
I know we had that ABHE accreditation.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
He says this in the article. I'm well aware that I may be the last president of Jacksonville College. I made peace with that before I took the job. But notice this. This is a strong word. But there's something worse than Jacksonville College closing. That would be the college continuing as what I call a zombie institution, one that has no purpose other than to continue existing, a school that sucks up resources from the churches and contributes nothing to the building of Christ's kingdom. I have no intention of leading a zombie school. Wow.
That's pretty.
He made the statement here. I guess I didn't read it. So this is leading to some of my questions about Southeastern.
Mm-hmm.
He said somewhere in the article, presently Jacksonville College only had a handful of students that were actually members of BMA churches.
Yeah, I think you said
4?
I think 4 or 6. It wasn't no more than 6.
It wasn't no less than 10.
Yeah.
So I think it was 4 or 6. But either way, think about that. You got a college that's owned, just like Southeastern is, but talking about Jacksonville.
BMA.
It's owned by the BMA of Texas, the BMA churches. Because if you read, even with Southeastern, it always states, we're your college. It's
right.
owned by the. But what purpose is it serving the BMA of Texas if it only has
no BMA students,
5 students that are there that are actually from BMA churches? And I wonder, and I'd like to know this, how many students at Southeastern are presently hold membership in a BMA school or church?
That'd be a good question. And I would also like to know how many BMA pastors or called men ministers are attending there as well.
I don't know if there are any.
Yeah.
So that leads me to this question to talk about a little. How long are we into this?
We're 33 minutes.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of circle the wagons a little bit. Why there's not 20 there? I'm almost certain of that. Like it was when we went there.
Yeah.
We went to the Southeast. It was, I think you counted 19, but there may have been, just say 19.
Uh-huh.
All right. How many of them are, we said there's Caleb still preaching. As far as I know, Matt's still preaching. As far as I know, Shad is.
Uh-huh.
You are. I am. Chase is. John Kelly is. Adam. Tim. Zach. Who am I missing? Josh Daniels is 11. Is still preaching. Who am I missing? The other brother, he died, but he was pastoring.
Yeah, and the other ones we're not sure of because we've lost touch.
Lost contact.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Why aren't there more ministers there now?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going on the assumption now. Fact of the matter is, I'm almost certain, as I talked to a brother today, why are there not more ministers from BMA churches going to the BMA college to get a degree? So what was the classes we took? Let's just think about this. If you take a church ministries class or a 4-year degree, let's just name some. You had New Testament survey,
New Testament, Old Testament survey,
Christian doctrine 1 and 2, Bible
geography, pastoral ministry,
counseling was elective.
Counseling, yeah, we had. In fact, we had 2 counseling classes. We had counseling and then marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Then
you could take other electives. There was
Greek
for some that wanted, smarter ones like myself that went through it.
Right. Yeah. I was in there for about a week.
We started that class with like 15.
Yeah.
You know how many ended up finishing that class?
I think 3 from what I heard. You, Tim, and Jacob.
I'm not sure if Jacob did. I know me and Tim did. Jacob may have. What were some other classes? Let me just see something here.
Yeah, poetry, biblical poetry.
Yeah. Well, we had certain elective classes. We had minor prophets.
Minor prophets, Ezekiel and Daniel. I remember taking that class. Shoot. I remember I had a class on Revelation.
Yeah.
We had manners and customs.
Manners and customs.
Methods of Christian teaching. Bible interpretation. Homiletics.
That's hermeneutics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homiletics.
Sermon prep. Homiletics, right?
So
let's think about this. You had let me go back through these. All right. You had New Testament survey, which was just an introduction to all the New Testament books. Same thing with the Old Testament. All right. You had Christian doctrine 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Bible geography. Now, some of these will require some more elective. Bible geography. You had counseling, marriage counseling. You had homiletics, which is sermon prep.
Sermon prep, yeah.
Bible interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had all the different like minor prophets. You had
Ezekiel and Daniel.
You had Revelation. Dr. Parker taught that. Golly, what else did you have?
Old Testament poetry.
Manners and customs.
All
those classes that, it's kind of like, it's just, people say, why do you, if you called to preach, why do you need to go to Bible college? Well, I mean,
you don't have to.
You don't have to. There's no written Bible rule that says you have to, but there's also not to suggest the benefit that's gained from it.
Right. Because first of all, you can go to church and, sit underneath good preaching, good Bible teaching, and be discipled by the pastor of the church. And that's great. And I'm not knocking that. I think all churches should be doing that. And this college should be a supplement to that. So would that make sense to you?
Right.
And so with that, you've got all these, men of God, and that like we had.
We'll have Brother Joey,
Dr. Sable, Dr. Parker,
yeah,
and others that were there.
We even for a time there had there was some other ones that kind of come and went.
Yeah, and so you've got these guys that have combined maybe 100 years of
pastoral experience. Pastoral epistles was a class too, wasn't it?
Pastoral epistles. I cannot remember the name of the guy that I had for not pastoral epistles. He taught personal books like Philemon.
Yeah.
And, I'm picturing him. I can't remember his name.
But anyway, then you've got the discipline of it, right?
Yeah, the structure.
So you got to write these papers. You got to do this work.
Mm-hmm.
So you get, there's discipline that's involved in that.
It really does teach you a lot more than just the Bible.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's the camaraderie that you
Oh, yeah.
relationships that you
I mean, yeah, we would have the lessons in the classrooms, the lectures, the back and forth between the students and the teachers. Then you have back and forth between the students as well.
the fights we had in the
hallways. Yeah, I mean, we would have debates begin in the classroom and end in the dorm. Sometimes in the parking lot.
So I guess to say all that to say this, I think there's still a need there.
I do too.
I think there's a great need there.
And on top of that, you had not just the Bible classes going on, but then you had all these other liberal. I hate to use the word liberal, but that's what they are, liberal arts classes. Like your English lit, and English comp, and Western civilization,
1 and 2,
history. All these things. Sociology and psychology. You had all these classes, but they're being taught in a Christian environment from a Christian perspective. And Anna, my wife, she went to William Carey for teaching, and there was still, it was a Christian college, but even in their textbooks, they had evolution slipping in to it. Not a knock on the education there, but that's what you had.
I need you to go to the ER.
What happened?
I got busted out from Levi.
Okay.
I'll finish it up.
All right.
You just close it up when you leave.
Yeah.
All right. So Rick had an emergency, and he's got to take one of his kids to the doctor. I think he busted his lip, may need some stitches. So y'all remember them in your prayers. So I'll just kind of finish this up. We may have to do a round 2 on this, but how do we get back to that at the college? I don't even know the answer to that, but I think there's a need there. We're talking about all the classes that you take. And then I talked to somebody today that said, well, there's multiple reasons why there's not as many ministerial students in the BMA, from BMA churches at the BMA college. And one of the reasons he said was, how many are even being called or even accepting the call? I mean, I can't think but just 1 or 2 that are even young ministers that, that are in that category that we're talking about. Just in a little local association we're in, there's a couple of preachers that are licensed ministers that, that I guess could go if they wanted to. And I'm not saying they're not getting educated, maybe in their churches or whatever. But then you got into BMA churches, you got, in that you've got preachers pastoring BMA churches, for better for worse. It's just a fact. You got independent preachers. Well, they're not. Their emphasis is not going to be on sending younger preachers up to the BMA college. You've got even Southern Baptist preachers, maybe with a Southern Baptist background or come out of Southern Baptist. Their emphasis is not going to be on sending them up there. Maybe Faithway, whatever the case may be. So you got a lot of aspects to why there's not as many going up there. But I'd like to see it maybe going back to that and getting more ministerial students in the college, or getting the emphasis on that. But anyhow, Rick had to check out, and we'll try to do a round 2 with this and pick back up where we left off of talking about ministerial students and the ministerial aspect of Southeastern Baptist College, and the direction is maybe taking or trying to take or going to go. But anyhow, if you got any questions or comments and you've watched this after the fact, just put it in the comments, and when we get back to it, we'll try to answer some of those, and maybe even have somebody on here got a person in mind, if he'll agree to it, to come talk about from the college, to talk about some of the things that we've mentioned here. All right, we're gonna get off here, and I'm gonna go check on Rick and make sure they're okay.